Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to film an affordable makeup look. I have got some products from Flower Beauty which I've wanted to try for ages because I love Drew Barrymore. So as you can see, I've got nothing on my skin at the moment. I've had my last laser treatment on my pigmentation 2 days ago, so that's come back up a little bit, which happens when you have it lasered. Each time I've had it done, it comes up less and less and then completely disappears. And I'm also using a skincare regime to kind of go along with the melasma to kind of manage it. So I kind of want to get a few months down the line with it to sort of see how I get on with it, so I can give you a proper review of everything that I've had done. I have used my brow pen to fill in my brows this morning because I popped to the gym and I decided to leave them on because I still haven't found a drugstore brow product that I like, so I'm going to skip that part of this tutorial. I'm really sorry, it's just there isn't anything that I like so far. So I'm going to start off by hydrating my lips. This one is by Emile Corden and this is the Saint Soleil Miracle Lip Balm. I love these, they're so expensive, but in terms of like hydration, these are the best lip balms I've ever come across. So I'm not going to put any primer on. I want to see what the foundation does in terms of wear and stuff because I am oily. I don't think it's going to be for me. It is a very glowy, dewy foundation. Obviously not everybody has the same skin as me, so ideally I would like to try it and see what it's like. It will be a first impressions because I've never used it before. I've got two shades. I've got Natural Beige M1 and Nude L3. So I like the bottle. It's glass with a plastic top and I really like the gold finish to it. So I'm going to mix the two shades together. I'm going to do one side of a beauty blender and the other side I'm going to do with my fingers so we can see how it works and how it goes onto the skin. In the UK, this foundation is $12.99 and in the US I think it's $14.99. And I think in the US you've got about 12 shades available and only 5 in the UK, but I do believe more shades are being made. So this is a really dewy finish and obviously I'm an oily skin type. So I tend to stay away from things too dewy because for me it just doesn't work. But I do like to have a little bit of a glow, but I tend to get that of my own accord after a couple of hours. It's definitely a medium coverage. At the moment I've got a lot of skin texture going on because I'm using this new skincare, so I'm hoping my skin's going to kind of sort itself out. It is definitely covering redness, a couple of freckles that I've got, it's covered. I can just about see them, so by applying it with the beauty blender you definitely get that medium coverage. It's really nice texture. It sits on the skin beautifully. Even the little pores on my nose, it's completely covered and that's without a primer underneath, so I really like it. In terms of texture, I'd say it sits on the skin probably better than any drugstore foundation that I've used because normally when I put them on I don't like them at all, but this is lovely. Do wish it was just a little bit more matte. Hopefully it will set a little bit and not be super shiny because that means I'm going to put powder on. And then if I've got powder on, I start to look a bit more heavy and I don't like that. Actually a really good match. If you look at that to my neck and here, it all matches really well. So I'm impressed with that. Okay, so I'm going to try it with my fingers on this side. And again, even with your fingers, you can see instantly you get a really nice coverage. It's kind of like, again, a medium coverage. But with your fingers, you can definitely shear products down a lot more, especially if you've got some slip underneath. You probably hear people say slip, and then if you're not kind of used to hearing those words, you think, well, what does that mean? To have some slip on the skin just means something that's kind of got moisture to it, something that's going to allow the product to glide over it. If you've got really dry skin and you've not moisturised, you'll find it just sticks to your skin. It will drag out all the dry patches and yeah, so having a little bit of slip underneath helps foundation to move over the skin. So I'm going to see how this goes. This is my little bit of pigmentation that's come up since I had it lasered. And it covers really well just for foundation on its own, which I really like. My forehead at the minute is super bumpy and I just woke up with it one day. My skin does go through these phases. One minute it's like super clear and then it's super bumpy, and while my skin's like this I'm not wearing any liquid foundation outside of sort of filming for YouTube. So I recently received this Bakers Nay beauty set. You can get it on the high street, you can also get it online. Originally it was £25 and for all of this that is affordable because you can't go into a drugstore and buy more than 3 items and it costs you less than £25. And this has got a brush, it's also got a lip gloss, a lipstick, I believe that might be some sort of pigment. You've got highlighter and blush, and you've got an eyeshadow palette. So to me, that is super affordable, and at the moment in the UK, this is £12.50. Again, not a sponsored tutorial at all. So this is the eyeshadow palette. It's absolutely dinky, but it's so nice. It's got really beautiful kind of neutral colours in it, perfect for any occasion, great for contouring the eyes. You've got a few kind of metallic shades in there if you want a little bit of a pop of colour. Really little, but so handy for travelling. I've never used it, so I don't even know what it's going to be like. I hope it's going to be good. It's annoying. So when you take off the plastic sheet, you can see along the sides, it kind of pulls up the packaging, which kind of ruins it a bit. So you can kind of see it's all very subtle neutral shades. So I've got some translucent powder by M&S. I've had this for ages. It's a really good affordable powder. And then I've also got one by Rimmel. This is a pressed powder, so you can go with whatever your preference is. I'm just going to put a small amount on my head because I can't stand the shine. Take a little bit of that over my eyelids as well, just so that when I put the eyeshadows on, they don't stick to the foundation. The first colour I'm taking is called Last Petal, and I'm taking that on a flat shader brush. And I'm packing that onto the mobile lid. This part where the eye naturally creases is the mobile lid. It's the part that actually moves. I'm now going to dip my brush into both Petal and Sunshine and reapply that to the mobile lid. We only want something quite neutral and a matte finish to kind of just contour the lid. It's very similar to my skin tone, so it's giving me that barely there look. The next shade I'm going into is called Ballerina. I'm applying a small amount of that onto a pointed crease brush. This one is by MAC. It's the 218 SE brush. So we're creating a bit of an almond shape to our eye. We're elongating this outer V shape, and that's what makes using a pointed crease brush the ideal brush to do this. I'm concentrating the majority of that colour towards the outer half. Then I'm using an E10 small socket blender to blend this out, and I'm not taking my brush up too high or too low. I'm just working it directly over the colour so it stays where we put it. We're just softening it and diffusing it. When you've created such a defined line, it will take a little while to blend it out, so be patient and hold your brush quite far down the handle of the brush so you've got a nice light hand to blend. I'm now going in with Cocoa, and I'm reapplying that on my pointed crease brush, and we're going over the area that we've just applied Ballerina. Ballerina was our transition shade. We're now going to create a deeper version of what we've already created. So using the point of your brush, retrace over the area that you already applied Ballerina, and then go in again with your small socket blender and work that in small circular motions or window wiper motions to blend the colour out. Again, take your time to do this and use a really light hand until you're happy with how diffused it looks. I'm applying a bit more of that colour to the outer lash line to redefine that outer V. Then using the same socket blender that I've used the whole way through just to soften the line. Next I'm going in with Espresso, which is the darkest brown shade in the palette, and using the same pointed crease brush, I'm now concentrating the colour close to the mobile lid rather than further up the socket, and I'm reshaping the outer V, and this is going to create more definition and really define the socket. You need those transition shades there to begin with, otherwise the dark brown is just going to stick to your eye and it's going to be really hard to blend out. Having those colours as a base really helps with your blending. Now I'm going over with a clean, fluffy blending brush over the whole thing to diffuse the overall look. Now I'm taking my Milani Stay Put Matte 17-Hour Wear Liquid Eyeliner in Coffee. I believe in the UK you can actually only get this online and it's only £8, so it's really affordable. Another one that's really affordable that I like is Wet n Wild Megaliner. So I'm creating a standard winged liner, starting at the very inner corner and working that all the way across the top of the mobile lid. I'm tracing my lash line, so keeping it super close to the root of the eyelashes and thickening that as we get to the outer corner. To get the right angle for the wing, I always follow an invisible line from my lower lash line as if it continues. So I pour the colour up and out first, and then to make it thicker I always come back on myself, so I place the tip at the very end and pull it back towards the lash line until I'm happy with the thickness. I go along the top line to make sure it's nice and crisp, and then I just create a bit more of a flick. While the end of the flick is still wet, I just use my finger to swipe up over it to create a really crisp point to my wing. My favourite drugstore mascara is the Mascara Revolution by Makeup Revolution. The wand has multi-bristles, which is really good at coating every single lash and really adding volume and length. This mascara is only £8, and what I love about it is that it's not one of those mascaras that you need to use for a couple of weeks in order to get really thick. It's a really great formula to begin with, but I do find I have to go through my lashes with a comb to make sure it's not clumpy. If you don't have one of these combs, you definitely need one in your life. It really does help to separate all your lashes. I will link them in the description bar for you as to where you can get one. So with just one coat, you can see it really does lengthen and thicken your natural lashes. So this is the Flower Beauty Full Coverage Concealer. Not many drugstore concealers are full coverage like they say. It could be full coverage in the terms of what is a natural full coverage as opposed to masking your face, which has become the trend now. I've got the shade Light, and I believe this comes in 6 shades in the US and only 4 shades available in the UK at the moment. And again, I believe we will be getting a few more shades available. This is really similar to the foundation packaging, and I really like the colours. So I'm going to use my beauty blender to press that in. It's very creamy and it does blend away really, really well. I don't know if I'd say it's full coverage. It definitely gives you coverage and it blends really well into the foundation. Yeah, that's really pretty. I'm not a fan of this super under eye highlight. We all want to look a little bit brighter, but we don't look like... This section is starting to become ridiculous on people. It doesn't look real. And you look at them in the flesh and you think, you don't look right. You don't look human. You look like you're wearing makeup. You don't look naturally enhanced. And that's what bothers me. You can see my under eye area looks lifted, but it doesn't look bright. So I'm going to take a small amount of the Cocoa eyeshadow underneath the lower lashes, kind of on the outer half. I'm using a mini detailer brush to do this. I only want this to be quite soft. Again, don't want it to be too much about the eyes. What I will say is that concealer is definitely creasing under the eyes. I know I've not set it in place, but that is quite creasy. I'm going to use this Scandalised pencil by Rimmel in a creamy shade. This one is nude, and I'm going to use this along my waterline to make it look a little bit brighter. Gets rid of any pinky tones and just opens up the eyes and just makes you look more awake. Makes your eyes look bigger as well. I'm going to use my translucent powder to set that in place. First off, I'm going to press that back onto the skin so it's nice and smooth and gets rid of those little creasy lines. I'm going to go in with my beauty blender and press that in place because it's going to soak up any excess moisture from the concealer, and that's what's going to help prevent it from creasing. If you find you still get creasing, then before you set it in place you want to use a little bit of tissue pressed onto the concealer to absorb liquid first and then set it in place, and then you'll find it definitely sets better. If you don't like that tacky feeling to your face, then you might want to set it because it does leave a kind of tacky residue. It doesn't set. I'm going to use a cream contour. This one is by Rimmel. It's the Insta Conceal and Contour palette. I've actually only got dark, so this should be fun. I'm just going to mix it in the palette. If you've always got too much on your brush, just kind of dispense it around the face before you start blending, otherwise you're going to just end up in a huge mess. I'm actually going to use it as a bit of a bronzer as well. The great thing about working with creams is they're so easy to blend into the skin. If you make a mistake, you can just tap over it with your foundation brush. I could continue to work it in with a brush, or for ease, I can just go back over it with my beauty blender with a little bit of the foundation and press that in, and as you can see instantly, it looks much better. Because it's a cream and you've got foundation on, it just makes the blending super easy. So let's take off the powder underneath our eyes. Okay, so before I continue with the face, I'm going to pop on a little bit of the Flower Beauty Miracle Matte Lip in Scarlet Letter, which is a really beautiful vibrant red. As you can see, this is the shade. Go with a bit of a vibrant lip for the winter. God, it's so pigmented. Wow. So the doe foot applicator is really soft. It's nice and thin, so you can create a nice sharp line from the outer edge. I'm going to use a little bit of this Maxi blush in the shade Wild Card. We don't want anything too intense because we've got the lips done, we've got a little bit of contour to the eyes. I'm going to go back in with my beauty blender and just press that over the top to soften it. The last thing I'm going to do is pop on some eyelashes by Eyeliner. I already have a tutorial on how I apply my eyelashes. In fact, I've got a few tutorials and also a hack tutorial for those that really struggle with eyelash application. So that completes the look. I hope you've enjoyed it. Overall, I like the foundation, probably more suited to someone with a combination to drier skin, or more suited to someone who loves looking super dewy. Love the liquid matte lipstick. Although it is a matte finish and it's not shiny and it's super pigmented, it doesn't completely set. So like, it's transferable. As soon as you touch it, it's on your fingers. Although it's only a light coverage, just bear that in mind. This is probably my favourite affordable product that I've bought in the last year. I will list and link all the products used in the description bar below for you. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. You can follow me on my social media accounts. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye!